Okay, full disclosure. I had no problem, um, really with the first season of Peacemaker. Not in terms of being like, it's just like this was a great show or anything like that and it had standing ovation. No, it was an okay show. As far as like superhero things go, it was okay. It wasn't the best thing and it wasn't the worst thing. It had its funny moments, and there was a lot of times where it was just way too overly dramatic for these characters that essentially were very two-dimensional, and that was something that was egregious. And it's like you had like way too much of that. But overall, like I would say, favorite thing from the first season was the character Vigilante, and then just the antics of John Cena doing his thing as Peacemaker was fine. It was okay. It was still a James Gunn ragtag group of people coming together to defeat a big bad and whatnot, and they all got their own personal and introspective issues and whatnot. But it was okay. It was just okay. It wasn't like, again, wasn't the worst thing, wasn't the best thing. So that being said, going into season 2 of Peacemaker, I had no expectations. Honestly, I felt as if the first season was enough. If you were going to do more movies or anything like that involving the character, that would have been okay. But with James Gunn becoming the new head of DC, I felt as if, this would be one of those characters that you would do a full-blown stop on, because you're no longer going to incorporate him into what you got going on. Boy, was I fucking wrong. This season was goofy. It was goofy because of the fact that it was like, it could have been something really good. And I think I hate that more than anything when it comes to superhero stuff. Even though Peacemaker does not act like Peacemaker from the comics, and that is in itself a sin. Be that as it may, to me, I say let the content speak for itself, and I'm judging it based off of the content alone. I do that. But again, John Cena's portrayal of the character in the Suicide Squad movie was great. John Cena's portrayal of the character in the first season of Peacemaker was okay. Very overly dramatic. John Cena's portrayal of the character in season 2 of Peacemaker was what he should have been in the first season. It really was. There, like that. If there's anything that holds this season up as something to where it's like, all right, yeah, this gives a pass, it's John Cena's acting, who, as far as I can tell, has only done better the more he keeps acting. And this had a lot going for it in terms of his character being the huge emotional anchor carrying everything, and you saw that, and it worked, and it worked very well. But after that, oh fuck no. The show was a clusterfuck. It was just so many things that was built around just essentially like, how the fuck did this go like this so far without anyone having any type of discrepancies or anything like that. I mean, it opened with showcasing the ending of the first Peacemaker being done with the Justice Gang instead of the Justice League characters, in order to facilitate that, well, this is now happening within James Gunn's DC. But that doesn't really answer a lot of questions, whether or not, are you just going to say that this just happens to be an alternate world? Are you just giving a full scrap towards the Snyderverse or whatever? Or is it like this an alternate thing that could have happened within the same confines? Who knows? Because you can't just do shit like that when it comes to series that have multiverses, and then you specifically make this season tackle multiverse. So, fuck it. But that's something that's really, really bad that they did as a narrative standpoint, because it doesn't fit. And it's like, yeah, you can gloss over it and look past it to watch the season, but again, that's a huge glaring issue. It's a big ass flashing red light just in the back, just in the front of your face, that no matter what they do within the story, you're not going to get over that. So having that, the narrative essentially is this time is that for whatever reason, Peacemaker again is after the chick that's played by James Gunn's wife. Hardcore, like her name is Hardcore, which is very stupid. It was stupid in the first season, it's stupid in this season. But now they're going into the fact that apparently she was sleeping with Rick Flag. But they were like really good friends, but she knows Peacemaker is the one that killed him, in order to just spin some more drama, which was unnecessary, and it didn't work because they didn't do anything with it. You just had her bitching and whining about the fact that it's like, I'm not normal. It's like, I like fighting and war and guns. And it's like, so does he. And it's like, yeah, and I like you because you like that. And it's like, all right, so then what's the problem? I don't know. I'm not normal. And it's like, you're not even the main character that's a named character. Like, you're not a thing. So it's really dumb. It was really dumb to have her character essentially do that again, because you kind of got over, like, her character arc was enough on the first season. The idea of her being blacklisted because Amanda Waller did that before she got booted, and then essentially that's something that she now has to deal with, that's fine. But her whole, I can't be in a relationship with you, because at one point you tried to make it about the Rick Flag thing, but then that didn't even stick, because she was like, I already know, and it's not that, like, you know, I already know and I understand you after the fact, so it's not really that big of a deal. So then to go even further from that was just retarded. So then it was like, and then even with that, it kind of ruined Rick Flag's character, because his whole thing within the first Suicide Squad movie was that he was the linchpin because of the fact of how much he felt, and he was in essentially kind of like a psych profile, already knew he would fall in love with the doctor that became the Enchantress. So the idea that he would cheat on her for Hardcore of all people, who is not prettier than the lady who played Enchantress, fuck out of here, James Gunn. Let alone that would be something that Rick Flag of all people, like Junior, would be totally cool with. And even going from there, you now have it to where Rick Flag Sr. now has it out for Peacemaker, which on its own was fine in terms of a plot line. That was cool. Like, it was fine for you to do that, but then essentially you having Hardcore being this whiny little bitch the whole time while everything was happening, because you for some reason think your wife has the acting chops to facilitate that, is ridiculous. And it just, again, it didn't work. It just really didn't work. Like, you had way too many people trying to act overly dramatic for things that were just unnecessary. Like, their character arcs were already completed in the first season. Why are you trying to do it again? I just want to see those characters do more things, like, just now. Like, now that I know who they are, I want to see them do more things in these situations. You keep making these fucking groups. Well, when you get the group together, people want to see the groups actually do something. But you spent half of the entire second season splitting the group apart and then introducing other new characters who were bland and uninteresting, only then to kind of just push everyone together at the end and try to have a weird little ending with some type of odd consensus that no, they had character development. And it's like, no, people just kind of was crying for 1 minute and then they had a conversation and then they just got over whatever it is that was bothering them this entire season. And that's stupid. That's not development. That's just retardation. So I don't get why people were like, this season dropped the ball at the ending. I didn't see it drop the ball at the ending. The entire whole season didn't really hold up correctly. You base the entire plot behind Peacemaker stumbling around in that little alternate dimension thing that he can go into that his dad built, where he keeps their tech and their equipment and stuff. You're stumbling around and then he actually found an alternate dimension that was a mirror dimension of his world, where his father and his brother are still alive and they all love each other. And so then he accidentally kills the Peacemaker from that universe, and then he just assumes the identity of that one, and then essentially he's torn between whether or not he should stay in his dimension or go to the other one, because that one has he has a relationship with the Hardcore chick. Him and his brother is still alive, his father loves him, and then it's like, all right, but he was conflicted because it's like, no, I actually still care about the Hardcore from my world, but if there's something there, I will pursue that. Again, that narrative was actually pretty cool, and it did wonders for his character, because yeah, that was a cool thing to initiate. But this writing is retarded. So essentially what they did was that they made it to where the universe that he was in was a very, 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 very racist universe. I believe it's like Earth X, where it's like essentially Hitler won and everyone's a Nazi. So whatever. But that doesn't come up as like sort of like a twist thing, but then it was like, yeah, Nazi propaganda shit was all over the place, and it was like Peacemaker ignoring that just seemed stupid, and it made him look very retarded. And because of that, everything else just kind of falls apart. You have way too many things going, like just happening that essentially was like, well, this is pushing the plot, but it's not really making any sense in terms of like, okay, like this connects well, you know, doing the whole, well, they're in an alternate world where everything is racist, or they're all Nazis, and it's like, all right, I guess, and it's like, but what the fuck does that do? It doesn't do anything. And if anything, that only worked in one moment in the entire season, and honestly, I'm sad because I wish they would have did more with it, which was the fact that essentially the father, who is super racist in Peacemaker's real world, but in this alternate timeline was actually like, I actually don't condone that. I actually don't really care for it, but I do what I can to keep the peace and protect the people. But I'm not someone who basically is on the side of that racist propaganda stuff. And then he's immediately killed by a vigilante and whatnot. And I felt bad because of the fact that you had Peacemaker sit there and understand where the dad was like, is it wrong that this Chris would stay? And it's like, and then we don't get the one that we had, and his brother's conflicted because it's like, no, my brother's dead. And he was like, yeah, your brother was a problem though. Chris was he was out of control. He was doing crazy shit. And he was like, but this one, he was like, that's still my son. He was like, I'm still your father, still my son. He's just from a different world. And it was like, and I still love you. And like, and it was like, it was a very touching and great moment. And then he was killed. And then I love the fact that Peacemaker even stated when he died, he's like, I don't think he was a Nazi. But, and then it's like, but that's it. Like, I was like, you did not need everyone here for this. You did not need this big little thing of like everyone, like this being something that happens near the end of the series and whatnot. Like, this really should have been explored earlier on, and it should have been like and it would have been a cooler thing for Peacemaker to even deal with, as well as like come to grips with having a father that loved him, and then trying to process that type of thing. It was so much that you kind of just pushed to the wayside for Peacemaker, where it was like, all right, you want to facilitate that he's going through this emotional roller coaster, but then other moments you're like, well, he's now ignoring obvious shit in order to have this dumb emotional roller coaster, and it's not good. Like, I can't tell you how like tuned out I was to seeing the flashback between him and Hardcore kissing at like a little concert thing, and I was like, this is so fucking unnecessary because I don't care. There's like other shit is going on, but this was the thing that led to the big fallout between him and her, and it makes absolutely no sense because again, you're having her act in a way unbefitting only because of the fact that it's like, oh, you need this bitch to act like a crazy wild angry bitch or whatever. So it's like it just was bad. That was just really, really bad. But and I hated the fact that Vigilante was just not used in this season when he was the star of season 1 as far as I'm concerned. He was one of the best elements that show had, and then the fact that he was able to do what he does, and then he was still under the radar for the most part as far as a lot of stuff was going, even as far as like Task Force X and different superheroes and shit like that. His character was great, and then you essentially just kind of push him to the wayside. Why? So you can have these other bitches complain about other bitch shit, and it's stupid. It was just all stupid. I did not like it. So the overarching concept of having Rick Flag Sr. go after Peacemaker, but then even then he like also he works with Lex Luthor's old people from the Superman movie, who then help him figure out what dimension he can send Peacemaker into. And then like it ends with that where he captures Peacemaker and then throws him into another dimension, even though Peacemaker's basically been cleared of everything. He's fine, and like he kind of like came to peace with all that shit, and then like he made his own little thing with his people. And I was like, and again, you're kind of setting up was like, even though I got a group together because I did everything about making a group, it was like, well, now I got the group, and then I got to separate the group in order for the group to come back together. And then basically, if they do another season, the whole group's gonna have to go through some more emotional trauma bullshit in order for them to have what they think is character development, and that's just not character development. But it wasn't good. It just was not good. The whole fucking season wasn't good. It wasn't really interesting to watch. There was really nothing any like going on, and honestly, I feel as if because they're probably gonna do it, stuff either won't get explained or it will get explained depending on what next James Gunn thing comes out in relation to DC. It doesn't mean that we're gonna have any information that's gonna like dive into these or Lex Luthor's people. They're probably gonna say it because Lord knows a Superman movie just had exposition out the ass. So I don't see this actually faring narratively as something that was intelligent or a must-see in order to see the rest of the DC stuff. And then with WB going through their buying issues right now, who knows what's going to happen with James Gunn doing what he needs to do. But overall, I would say Peacemaker Season 2 is a wash. It really wasn't anything that was worth a damn to see. I took a minute to even look at it, and then when I did, I was like, yeah, I didn't need to see this. There were parts that, again, were funny, but it doesn't make up for the overall concept of the season. So many things happened that was just like, yeah, this just wasn't it. And especially considering the fact that the first season had a lot of really good moments, really nice characters, and really good overall concepts that was just, yeah, in terms of being like, all right, this is the first season that's going to build into a series and whatnot, like, yeah, I can see that going. But if this is what the series is going to become, then no. So Peacemaker Season 2, I would say, is definitely something that, yeah, it was just not good. And that's all I'm going to say about that. There's been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame, and it's always good people. I hope you had fun. You can, if you, like, you know, you can subscribe or like or whatever. It don't help me yet, but you can do it if you want to.